Awesome, Zach. Good to have you here, brother, man. I appreciate you. You've been absolutely killing it. I know I've known you for a long, long, long time, man. So it's amazing to see you doing so well, and obviously coming to Odyssey Financial Group. But just to get this out of the way, man, introduce yourself, kind of where you're taking the call from, and tell us a little bit about what life was like before Odyssey Financial Group. Kind of, what was a day in the life, or what was the main thing kind of holding you back from where you wanted to be?
Yeah, no, definitely. Thanks again for having me on, Sebastian. So I'm actually based in Chicago, and I have a very non-traditional background. Then no sales experience, nothing. I actually come from a finance background. So taking it back to college, I went to Michigan State University, played Division I football there for a few years as a cornerback, and ended up landing my dream job in Chicago in investment banking. So working in mergers and acquisitions. So, working like a dog, 100, 110-hour a week, sometimes more. And, I had everything I wanted until I didn't. I was there, working my ass off, and then I realized I wanted something more. I wanted to build something more. I wanted to get some more skills under my belt. So, that's kind of how I started looking into sales, and that's kind of how I got connected with you.
Awesome, dude. And I mean, I know you with that type of background, you could have gone anywhere, right? You could have gone anywhere. So what specifically about Odyssey Financial was like, shoot, this is my home. This is the fit. This is where I'm going.
Yeah, no, really for me, like I went and shadowed, you and Orion, some of the top dogs, and I was like, holy smokes, like these are real leads, real people you guys are talking to, and like you guys were both writing $80,000 in business that month, so it's like if you guys can do that, in my mind, I can do that. So that was the biggest thing for me was proof of concept and
Gotcha.
seeing how like you could replicate that into other agents. So just watching you do it live in person, I was like, wow, this is something that I can totally see myself doing. And it was a perfect way for me to get into sales.
Dude, I love that. I love it. And yes, you had the outside perspective, but now, boom, let's say as you are inside Odyssey Financial Group, you are seeing it for yourself. What has been some of your like biggest experiences or things that have already been a part of your journey so far? Like, what have you seen?
Really just like all the resources that we have access to. So like for someone like me, like I'm a visual learner, so like I like to learn off of other people and we have so many dudes in here and dudes and girls obviously that are just ripping. So it was super easy for me to figure out how everything works off the bat because there's always someone running an appointment and Austin Timmons was the biggest asset to me, especially when I first started off, just because when I started off, obviously I was very like raw and not good at all. But sending all my recordings to Austin, he's been in the game forever and he's obviously like a pro. So I wanted to make sure I learned as much as possible from him. So having access to leaders like him and Zach Hart obviously just really helped me get a jump on my career, especially with no experience or background at all. So because I'm only about a month and a half, 2 months in, and like I've already been ripping right off the bat. So really starting fast was the biggest thing for me, and just having the resources and being able to do that.
Awesome, man. I love that. Now, what everyone really cares about, and the only thing that truly, really matters is results, right? So since you've been here, man, what has been your biggest win, whether it's professionally, whether it's actual income, whether it's time management, professionally, right? Kind of what's been your biggest win or wins?
Yeah, for me personally, it was definitely proving my family wrong. Obviously coming from the corporate world, they thought I made a mistake. Leaving that, had the dream job. Obviously make having a really good income, consistent income. So they thought I was making a mistake. So for me, proving them wrong. For instance, in December, I was able to take home $20,000 in a single month, and it's like I'm only 23 years old and I just started. Obviously, like I have much bigger goals and aspirations, but for just starting off and like seeing that, risk pay off right off the bat, that was huge for me. And just being able to go home for, Christmas and New Year's and like tell my parents like I'm gonna be all right, like you don't have to worry about me was definitely a big thing. So
Man,
yeah.
that's big. That's big. I mean, a lot of people can relate to that for sure. They want to relate to that because they want to prove their family right or wrong, but in the right way, right? So, good. Now you got momentum. Now the wheels are really turning, gears are spinning. I kind of want to know what's next for you, man. Like we're talking like what's your income goal now looking like? Now you've been in here, you see what's going on, you're starting to get into leadership. Do you have maybe a team goal, like a commitment for how big you want your organization to be? Kind of talk to me. What's next for Zach Denha?
Yeah, so obviously like the first thing for me, I want to definitely grow as a producer. I want to be consistently, producing 70, $80,000 of business just off my own pen. That right there is gonna put me at, $50,000 a month take home. But I also want to be able to like grow my knowledge and like what we're doing here to other people, and by doing that, like I want to be growing my team, because there's a lot of people out there that probably think you have to be a genius to get into sales or like have this crazy background, but like look at me, like I proved that wrong. I've never done any of it, but if like you work hard off the rip, you can make a really good income in this. So next step for me is obviously like growing my production, number one, and then number two is growing my team. I want to make sure, I have 50 to 60 people under my belt by the time we get to like March or March, maybe halfway through the year, but my goal is March right now to have 56 people under me.
That's insane, dude. I love that. I mean, it's so real though. That's the thing. People think that's in their dreams sometimes, but it's easy to accomplish here. So, lastly, man, I mean, which is one of the most important parts. I mean, let's say you're talking to someone that's never done this before. They were very similar to you, maybe similar background, or they're just kind of nervous to take the leap, to take the jump. Kind of, what would you say to that person that's kind of looking from an outside perspective, nervous, just like you were when you were even thinking about joining the opportunity?
Yeah, I would say like the nerves definitely aren't going to go away. That's normal. Like whenever you make a change, nerves are always going to be there. But you got to just like look yourself in the mirror and like ask yourself, like, are you happy, with one, where your income's at, two, what your day to day looks like? Because like right now, like I have so much freedom in my schedule coming from 110 hours a week to now I build my own schedule. Like it's a complete game changer. So for me, it was big on being able to choose how I spent my time, and then obviously income goals. In this, obviously, sky's the limits versus, if you're just in a regular corporate job, you already know what you're taking home. So there's really no incentives to go above and beyond.
Yeah.
So for me, when I came here, it was like leading up to it, because I kind of knew I was going to be leaving my job about a month and a half to 2 months before. But like the fire in me that I had back in college started coming back to me, and like all those goals and aspirations I used to have, like when I wanted that dream job. But then when I got it, that all went away. So that's all coming
Yeah.
back. So I would say just make the jump. But obviously, this was a calculated risk, and I proved that right. It's obviously paying off right off the bat, a month and a half, 2 months in. So
I love that, man. The path is in the math. Well, Zach, I appreciate you. I don't want to take up any more of your time, man. Appreciate you, everything you're doing and everything you're about to do. I'm excited for you to watch this video 30, 60, 90 days from now, from where you're at now and how good you're doing to how great you will be doing. And it's been a pleasure. I appreciate it.
thanks, Sebastian.
Of course.